Here's to the finest crew in Starfleet.
When it comes to my crew, you won't get any argument from me.
This is a parody. Paramount owns the song.
Welcome to The Greatest Generation. It's a Star Trek podcast by a couple of guys just a little bit embarrassed about having a Star Trek podcast. I'm Adam Pranica.
I'm Benjamin R. Harrison, and Adam, I'm feeling a Bible-shaped hole in my heart.
Wow. I mean, I can't remember feeling that way ever. I'm just going to have to... yes and you, Ben, and say yes. Me too? Is it a holiday today I don't know about?
Well, sort of, because in a recent Code 47, we unwrapped... I believe this was Sarus Farvar that sent this in, if I'm not mistaken.
That's great.
A copy of the show Bible for Star Trek: Enterprise, a show Bible that is comically skinny compared to the one that we used to have for Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Look at that thing, a skinny king.
It is a skinny king. And I was trying to remember, I think what we used to do is I would just kind of like riffle through the pages and you would say stop, and that would be our chapter and verse for the day.
That doesn't seem like it'll work with the 4-page document or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's probably 25 pages here. There's entries for each character, and then there's entries for, like, let's see, the ship and the Suliban. And I think there's just kind of like an overview entry. A backstory entry, which I feel like we know the backstory. Do you want to hear the? This is a very Archer forward episode. How about we just read the entry on Captain Archer? What do you say about that?
Let's start at the top. Yeah, I like this.
Okay.
It's good to see you all in church.
It's called the Bible.
That's the way God wants it. I don't know why, dude.
All these questions? Is a little blind faith too much to ask?
Captain Jackson Archer, early 40s, physical, intensely curious, born and raised an explorer by his father, an engineer who worked on the Warp 5 project. Unlike the captains in centuries to come, Archer exhibits a sense of wonder and excitement, as well as a little trepidation about the strange things he will encounter. He holds a grudge against the Vulcans, who he blames for impeding humanity's progress, but his science officer is Vulcan, and he's struggling to reconsider those preconceptions. Although he has a strong sense of duty, he's a bit of a renegade. He's not afraid to question orders or even disobey them if he feels in his gut that it's right. Archer was there when the first girders of the Enterprise were put into place, and when the Vulcans tried to suspend the maiden launch after the broken bow incident, claiming humans weren't ready.
Can you crack a beer during Bible study? Because that's what this cool pastor's doing.
Archer helped persuade Starfleet to press on. He has mixed feelings about T'Pau. No L there. She embodies the arrogance and high-mindedness of the Vulcans who kept his father from realizing his dream of space exploration. Yeah. But he also realizes that T'Pau is a more seasoned space traveler, and he often relies on her wisdom and experience. At times, he even enjoys her dry sense of humor. Archer and T'Pau will continue to butt heads regarding humanity's new role in the intergalactic neighborhood, but they will also develop a long-lasting friendship that is rather unique for its day, the bond between human and alien. Archer is something of a mentor to Spike, and though he enjoys Spike's unique sense of humor, he's also aware that what the other people might think of his chief engineer, there are times when the captain has to keep him in line. I didn't know that Trip was named Spike originally either.
That's... Yeah. After Gremlins, you can't name anyone Spike. It's too scary and threatening.
You would think that I would be open to it, given that my program launched on Spike TV, which then became the Paramount Network, which is the precursor for Paramount Plus. But I'm totally against it.
There's a little bit left. The Kirks and Picards and Janeways will one day have the benefits of captains who preceded them, but Jackson Archer is the prototype. He's making history with every light year because he knows his captain's logs will be studied for years to come. He keeps especially detailed reports. The logs themselves will be both personal and humorous.
Have you gotten the sense that Captain Archer is a little bit self-conscious about major decision-making because of what the Bible study implies here, that he may be thinking about this in terms of like future folks reading about his decisions? And like, I don't get the sense that he's making a decision with that in mind at all.
Yeah, I mean...
Or reluctance to make decisions based on judgments of future people. I think the only one he's afraid of is that admiral.
I mean, I think that there are people out there who imagine themselves to be great men of history types. You and I know people like this.
Yeah.
Who like imagine that like every utterance is something that ought to be studied.
Yeah.
Archer's in an interesting spot where like he doesn't seem to be a raving, undiagnosed narcissistic personality disorder person, but I feel like there could be that like that creeping consciousness at the back of his thoughts all the time. Like, you better get close to getting this right because other people are watching every move we make. So maybe there's a little bit of that in his performance, or maybe he's just distracted. Like, why does my like ID and my birth certificate and everything say Jackson Archer, but people call me Jonathan? What's that about?
I would really love the first part as a little more of an explanation as to why we're not really on the level with Captain Archer up until now. Like, it would explain a lot of his vanilla-ness, you know?
Yeah. We're watching a bunch of movies for our other hit Star Trek podcast, Greatest Trek, right now. And for some reason, I think just because of the context of watching these movies when we're also watching a show about Captain Archer, like anyone kind of coloring outside the lines or doing something that is not expected of them or kind of breaking the rules hits really interestingly for me when I watch a film, because when Archer does it, it does seem to carry so much like petulance with it. Like, I don't want to do the right thing. I want to do my thing.
Exactly. If there was even more of that, I would feel greater conflict out of Captain Archer, and that conflict would make him more interesting to me, you know?
Well, this has been really fun. I'm glad we have Bible study back as a thing on the show. I already feel like it's so weird that character names change from Bible writing phase of creating a new TV show to actually making the TV show phase. Like, what was it about the name Spike? What was it about the name T'Pau that had them go like, ooh, we gotta fix that. That's wrong.
I feel like this has been done in previous Bibles, and I don't just mean like some names and dialogue written in red. Mm-hmm. I mean like some character names have changed. I feel like Kira's name might not always been Kira. Right. I mean, Wesley certainly was a name that wasn't always Wesley Crusher, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe the Crusher family name had gone through some evolution there.
I have read that when translated from the original Hebrew, Spike and Trip it's really easy to get those two confused.
Yeah, that's why everyone at your Cedar is so forgiving of the many mistakes you make having to do with that name. And your weird insistence on like using that name in any conversation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My goy son-in-law trying to talk about Spike again.
Speaking of folks who just don't fit in culturally.
Jesus Christ. Boosh! I just got Adam'd. What the hell?
I was just trying to do a transition, and what happened was like the Uzi just like sprayed the wall and the mic and the monitor. I'm trying to pivot to show here.
You let loose. The whole studio over here is full of bullet holes.
Oh, man.
Not to mention the host.
I'm so sorry. I'm trying to miss you with that from now on, Ben. As we dig right into Meet the Ferengi on Star Trek Enterprise Season 1, Episode 19. It's called Acquisition.
It's so weird to see the Enterprise adrift, but all lit up. I almost thought maybe we weren't seeing a ship in trouble because of how brightly lit it was. Like, they did not shut all the lights and murder out the ship, but they did give us the crazy angle in space.
How long do you think it takes before the ship just starts listing from no one at the controls? Like, I really wonder if in this era of Star Trek, you really need to have someone on the stick at all times. Otherwise, you're just going to go cattywampus like this.
If you're in a gravity well, I imagine it's pretty big risk, you know?
Yeah. Mayweather's like, we get no Mayweather in this episode, by the way, but afterward, you would suspect that Mayweather would be like, see? You need me. You need me to keep things smooth.
Just like being back in the room.
Who are you?
Ensign Travis Mayweather.
Parents must be very proud.
When I was a kid, we called it the sweet spot.
Who are you?
I'm the helmsman.
I guess growing up a boomer has its advantages.
And your mom? Very proud.
That's true.
It takes practice.
Other than keeping Ensign Mayweather up at night, I'm not sure what we expect to accomplish here.
Speaking of Mayweather, I think he got a little tiny bit of stuff to do in the last episode, but he has really been absent from the show in a big way for like 5 or 6 episodes, it feels like.
Maybe he couldn't play dead. You gotta play dead this episode.
Do you think that they were like, hey man, I know that we haven't been giving you that many lines in the show. We're thinking about letting you put on the Ferengi loaf and be one of the Ferengi for this episode, because otherwise, like, you'd just be sleeping on the floor in every shot. And then they were like, we went with Clint Howard instead.
Has a main cast character ever played the antagonist in an episode of their own show on Star Trek?
Oh, like put on loaf and jump to the other side of the conflict aisle?
Because we've seen, like, series to series that's happened, but we don't get same series antagonism.
Yeah.
Do we?
With the loaf, I feel like you can get away with it in Star Trek.
I think so, too. Yeah.
You could even make jokes about it. Like, God, that guy looks like the Andorian Riker. What the hell?
Andorian Riker would be great. So attractive.
Yeah. His antennae are always just, like, firmly erect.
Riker's never been that shade of blue, like no part of his body, you know?
He would never, like, bullshit someone about blue balls. That's not his way.
Surely would not.
Not a chance.
Do you recall ever hearing the Ferengi language before?
I don't recall, and it was neat to hear it.
Yeah.
And, more than anything, I like not getting subtitles. I like how this show is pretty orthodox about waiting for the universal translator to catch up and you being in the place of the crew to experience what that's like.
Totally. I did wonder because often when I watch Enterprise or one of the other Star Trek shows, I'll leave the subtitles on so that I can get like the spellings of alien names and stuff for my notes. But then I like turn it off when I'm watching something else. And so I'm like constantly turning it on and off. And I was like, oh, maybe I turned it like all the way off instead of to automatic. Did I fuck this
Feel
up?
the same way. Yeah, I think you and I did the exact same thing here.
So we get these Ferengis. They are in another ship, like hovering nearby the Entrepreneur. And they seem pretty psyched that the Entrepreneur is adrift in space. And they cozy up to the ship and dock right at the normal docking port there on the side.
When you get a look at this Ferengi ship after the theme, it really looks bed-buggy, doesn't it? It looks like a little parasite.
Yeah, but like without the pincers. Like it's...
Yeah, just the body.
It's a proto-insect. Like the Ferengi will keep with an insect-inspired design aesthetic for hundreds of years, but this is like the early edition. So they sneak aboard, and everybody on the crew is just kind of like passed out in the hallway. Our first sight of the Ferengi, they're wearing like Bane masks, and they appear to be horrified by the ear size of the humans that they're discovering aboard this ship.
This episode doesn't take this turn at all, but if you just take 2 big steps away from the comedy of this... and recognize that these Ferengi wanted to get down with the thievery so bad that they did zero research about the ship they were boarding or the people that they'd find inside.
Yeah.
Like that, the ear thing was a surprise, really kind of tips you off to how little interest they have in the people that they're stealing from.
No fucks given by these guys. They are wandering through the ship. They make their way down to engineering, and there's this kind of fumey object in the foreground, which I really liked that it was like very Ferengi on second glance, but on first glance, I was like, oh, that's just some set dressing and engineering, because I don't know this engineering section that well yet.
Great call.
And then, they go start messing with it, and you're like, oh, like this must be the thing that knocked everybody out. I assumed that they'd beamed it over and that Ferengi were like another early adopter of the transporter technology, but we find out the origin story of this thing a little bit later.
We watched the movie Alien on our hit new Star Trek adjacent podcast Greatest Trek, where we're continuing our off season with the film festival. And a big part of that movie was what you do about quarantining something or someone who's at an interaction off ship that you're not sure about.
Yeah.
And Enterprise, we've learned, is really careful about rubbing gel on each other and being in a decontamination chamber and so forth. It appears as though they just got this thing on board and opened it up right next to the warp core like every other Star Trek series has ever done.
This is the aftermath of every scene we've ever seen where they bring an artifact of unknown origin into engineering.
What are they doing? It's incredible. So they press it's like a sphere, and then there's a part that has popped up on top that's like a vertical smoker, and they press that thing down and the smoke goes away as they continue this walk.
It's like the big green egg of Ferengi devices.
It really does look that way.
They find T'Pol. They're very interested in the fact that her ears are not shaped the same way as the humans. And there does seem to be some interest in the sexual implications of T'Pol existing among the Ferengis, but that kind of gets scolded away as a secondary consideration to all the stealing that they are getting up to.
If you're a Ferengi and you're seeing all these round human ears, you got to be thinking that's like Conan O'Brien famously drove that Ford Taurus. That era Ford Taurus is very round, It's fairly uninteresting. It's very basic.
Yeah.
But when you start tracing the curves of T'Pol's ears, that is like a 50s Cadillac Eldorado taillight, with the point at the top.
Yeah.
There's something very interesting about that.
Oh, yeah. The National Highway Safety Board would never approve a design like this to be street legal.
Yeah.
Now, but what a beaut.
This is the sort of ear you keep in a barn under a tarp. Take it out for special occasions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, you find one of those with low mileage? Hang on to it, brother.
Yeah. Yeah, you're going to put your kids through college.
Mm-hmm. With a pit woofie of that kind?
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Is it because Ferengi, we are not seeing the threat of sexual violence in quite the same way as if it were any other type of alien? Because Ferengi is code for goofy and non-threatening generally,
Right. Dangerous, but not in a scary, upsetting way, in a silly way.
Yeah.
Yeah, if this had been Nausicaans or something, I feel like it would have hit different. Unless it was Enterprise Nausicaans, and then you'd be like, oh, she'll kick their ass the second she's awake.
If these were rogue humans as a part of another mission entirely, you could see that being even a greater threat than the Ferengi pose here.
Just another one of those deep space freighters full of totally fucked up people that are total dead enders with their weird lifestyle.
The more of those that we meet, the more we see Mayweather, and we're like, what happened to you, man?
You turned out so normal.
It turns out the whole freighter life thing was a lie. He lied on his resume in order to get stationed on Enterprise.
He's like, this is actually my first time in space. I got a big confession to make.
You know what? That makes Mayweather really interesting if he just sort of act as if'd his way all the way to the helm of Enterprise.
That's why when he was talking to that guy, he had to be like, what was that thing that we used to eat? Nutrapax, right. Like, are you fucking kidding? You don't remember what you ate every single day for the first 25 years of your life?
Remember those aliens we massacred on that moon a couple light years ago? How did we do it? We orbitally bombarded their base.
Yes, that's what it was called. Yeah.
There you all day long.
These Ferengi send some info back to the other ship, and I guess by now they've taken off their respirators because their fumigation device has been stowed.
The lead Ferengi is on the turbolist. Like he's got to do it first, right? Because at this point they aren't sure if the smoke is still in the air.
Yeah.
And he reaches over one of his ears and he slowly takes it off, and he is Jeffrey Combs. And Jeffrey Combs is beautiful.
Yeah, he really is. A real all-star cast of Ferengis here. We got Clint Howard as Muck, Ethan Phillips as Ulyss, who seems to be the daemon or similar for this gang. Jeffrey Combs as Krem, and Matt Malloy as Grish. Grish seems to be kind of the deepest background Ferengi, but less shit on than Krem, the Combs character, the entire time.
How'd you like to be Matt Malloy in this episode? Really the fourth tenor of this guest star cast, you know?
He's very much the Ringo Starr of this Ferengi Beatles.
He's not a that guy.
No.
It's just compared to the other three, that's tough.
I would say that, like, more recently, he's become more of a that guy.
I wish that instead of dumping on the Jeffrey Combs character like this episode does, in terms of like everyone treating him like shit and making him do all the shit work, they were doing it at the Matt Malloy character as kind of a meta commentary on the guest star hierarchy.
You know who I really wish they'd given this fourth role to is Mike Gomez, the cop from The Big Lebowski, who's talking about the leads in the crime lab.
Yeah, sure.
Because he was a Ferengi in an early TNG episode, and I felt like the other three were like, let's throw some like classic Star Trek that guys back in the Ferengi loaf, because Ethan Phillips had played a Ferengi before as well.
I love this idea, especially when the conversation with the Ferengi starts talking about divisions of labor. Who do you want to talk about working in shifts more than that guy?
Nobody on planet Earth I want to hear talking about working in shifts more than that guy.
Yeah.
The guy is working in shifts.
So as all of this fun stuff is unfolding among the Ferengi, we cut over to the lube room where Trip is just kind of like lying on the floor in a I am idling, waiting for my time in here to be over kind of way. And he's like impatient now. So he's like radioing to like get let out. It's been a long time.
It doesn't seem like it's like you've been in a sauna too long. There's no threat of overheating or something, and I kind of wish there was.
Getting a little well done in here.
Or like being overly lubricated.
I love how there's just the briefest moment of this. So Trip like trips out a wall panel thing to get the partition to open, and for a moment his body hits the partition, and it's like flimsy. What's the name of the doors in Japanese homes that are? I don't want to suggest those are flimsy either, but it's like something it seems like he could walk through if he wanted to.
Right. It's like a paper divider. It looked too flimsy. Like I feel like they didn't want the set to look like this on camera, but it did. You know the closet in a rental apartment that hangs the doors from the top and they slide? Yeah. And they can't help but like bang and flop around. It's that kind of thing. You're talking about my house currently?
You know those real piece of shit closet doors that is like the first thing you should replace in any home? Now we're replacing the worst part of any home. Really the first thing that should be replaced by a new homeowner. Even the dumbest homeowner can replace their own closet doors.
You don't even need to look up a YouTube video online to see how to replace this. It is that easy and inexpensive. It is really a fuck you by landlords that only someone who has really accepted their lot in life as living a shitty existence would keep willingly if they had the choice.
We're having our Generation Next intern replace these closet doors.
And we haven't taught him anything. He doesn't even know what a hammer is. Wouldn't it have been fun if the doors had only come apart so much and the only reason he could get through was how heavily lubricated he was?
It's amazing it's taken us this long to talk about this aspect to the scene.
Mm-hmm.
Even if he were fully lubed, and even if the opening to this door were just wide enough, his blue Bonch is definitely, in profile, the widest part of his body.
Absolutely.
It's sticking out a good 5 inches from the rest of him.
He is a French pole vaulter trying to get out of that room.
How can you expect me to do the pole vault with the genitalia that hangs so low?
Where am I supposed to put this other pole?
I stand over with the other pole, and the other competitors start to grab my penis. He's not the pole for them to use.
It is like the viral video of the cop giving the guy a pat down and asking what is in his trousers.
I had a question that kind of started here, which was, if you were basically naked and you walked out into a hallway at your workplace and found everyone asleep, and your workplace is a place where there are gun lockers all over the place, how long would it take you to be like, my first priority is to arm myself?
My first priority would be to arm... No, you know what? People who know me, who listen to this show, will call bullshit on that. My first priority would be to get more clothes. And then I would get a weapon.
We gotta have weps. He's the key.
Yeah.
I'm just too modest. I wouldn't be hanging 5 inches of soft junk either. Maybe if I were, I'd make guns the priority.
I mean, I guess you could make the argument the Trip is armed no matter where he walks into.
Yeah, baby armed.
So these thieves now have carts that they're bringing off of their ship, and they're leaving their ship unattended, which I also was just going crazy thinking about, like, they're not going to leave one guy back there just to, like, keep an eye on the store while they're...
Hey, let's do a quick rewrite of this episode, Ben. What if Trip, instead of getting clothes and instead of getting a gun, just goes right over to the Ferengi ship, undocks it from Enterprise, and goes, "What are you going to do now? You don't know how to fly that thing."
I don't know how to fly this thing, but I don't need to.
These carts, Ben, these are heist carts. This is the only time you see them in TV or movies. These are the things that you wheel into a vault to empty the safe deposit box contents into.
Like, banks and casinos are the only places where these carts are sold. Like, you can't buy one on Amazon because it's a purely B2B product. Like,
I think these are also sold to high schools and colleges to wheel reel-to-reel projectors on back in the day. I feel like they're that height.
Sure. Well, yeah, they're really going to start taking this place apart.
They've got heist carts and Santa sacks. That's what they got.
So the cart guys go straight to 6-Bay, where Trip, I guess, thought maybe that should be his first stop to see why Trip, the doctor didn't pick up the phone for the same reason that everyone else is asleep. They're all asleep.
Trip's working on something else, which is why he's had semi-soft junk for the past hour and a half, and he's trying to find a drug in there that maybe he can hypo spray into his crank.
If it's erect for more than 4 hours, that's one thing, but if it's like kind of erect for like 8 like this.
Yeah.
That's also a big concern.
I feel like I need a little more blood flow to my brain.
Yeah.
But I'm not losing it completely.
But like 2% more blood flow to my brain might have given me the idea to get on the communications in the ship and see if anyone is awake, or open a gun locker and get a gun, or go to my quarters and get a fucking jumpsuit.
In the pharmaceutical ad about erectile dysfunction drugs and the warning about blood flow and so forth, I feel like that get rid of the tubs, get rid of the rose petals in the bed. When we're talking about the dangers of these drugs, show me someone like fumbling their way through something simple, like due to blood flow. Like
this guy has like the last 2 squares in a Sudoku and he cannot figure this out. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, like this is where paper-based old person games really help tell the story visually. Like someone's working on the crossword in the back of a TV guide and there's a 3-letter word left and 1 letter is missing and it's like dog.
Man's best friend.
Yeah.
D blank G. And his wife is like polishing a dish at the sink and looks at him with like loving concern, like, oh.
And limps into the living room to help him finish.
Susan and Henry seem to be putting the spark back in their relationship. So Trip is hid up a ladder and he watches this thievery going down, and I loved him seeing the Ferengis look like fucking idiots and using their idiotic language and just like slamming around in the 6 bay and making a fucking mess. Like, it's very violating.
I think there is some fun to be had in Connor Trinneer's performance too. If we're seeing the clownishness happen in 6 bay and we see Trip Tucker like going down the ladder upside down in order to peep them, like that's fun too. Everyone's having fun.
Everyone's having fun. Some of these Ferengis are stealing the completely useless missiles that the ship carries aboard, which will not fetch a pretty penny on the secondary market.
I love the idea that they're wasting their time with this. This is like supermarket sweep, where the most valuable, the most high dollar items are like the brisket or like the turkeys. Like you fill your shopping cart with like 12 turkeys. I feel like this is the turkey of Enterprise, except it has no value. This is terrible. This is the inflatable thing that like the bonus prize at supermarket sweep, and then they pull off the tag to show the value and it's 0.
And it's so fucking bulky. It's taking up tons of room in your cart.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's a canard. I mean, like they go through the mess hall, they're stealing food, but not cheese.
Yeah.
I thought they would like cheese. Cheese is funky.
It is. We get a lot of scenes of what they're stealing out of and off of the ship. The food scene is fun because you get to see some close-up shots of pie. That's great. You get to see some boots being taken out of a locker and Ferengi socks, I believe, for the first time.
Yeah, I loved seeing the socks. I love the bit of these shoes are going to be way too big for you no matter whose they are.
Yeah, yeah.
But this goes ugly at this point because it becomes clear that they are dragging all of these sleeping women into the cargo bay to be staged for being loaded onto their ship. And that's no fun.
It really isn't. It's maybe the only part of the episode that feels just a little bit dark.
Yeah.
Whenever you see a pile of women,
right,
like stacked like cordwood,
those women should be in a binder where they belong.
Yeah, exactly. Organized. This is a very disorganized pile of women, Ben.
Yeah. Speaking of disorganized, Trip is still unarmed and undressed, sneaking around the ship. And he goes to engineering and watches for kind of a long time on surveillance video the Ferengis like discussing what to do in a language that he doesn't speak. He's like, Trip, they are all there. Like, you know where they are now. Like, you can run and get a gun.
Yeah.
Get a gun!
Do anything besides what you're doing.
But no, he does not. And the Ferengi go get Captain Archer and wake him up with a hypo spray.
Who are you?
Ingala Dukabi?
I don't understand.
Dukabina Kustra?
As you said, they observe universal translator orthodoxy on this show. And it takes kind of a while to kick in. But Ullis is the guy in command, the Ethan Phillips Ferengi, and he wants to know if Archer is his counterpart from the Entrepreneur, specifically because he thinks that Archer is likely to know the location of their vault.
No one believes Archer in this scene. And for not believing him, they deliver a beating.
Yeah.
Archer soon bleeding out of his mouth and lips.
When he's like, we've walked away from capitalism as a thing, like when he starts talking about commerce as being kind of a quaint idea from his perspective.
Yeah.
That gets him some rifle butt right there.
Yeah, I mean, this is slandering their way of life.
He keeps it cool when Trip makes eye contact with him from across the room. Like Trip is like, I think up on a second level looking through some girders at Archer. So he kind of changes tacks. He turns this from a, like, we don't have a vault, I'm telling you the truth, to a, okay, we do have a vault and I'll split it with you. You can take whatever you want, but like, I want like some percentage of what you find in the vault. He didn't count on sex slavery when he said, take what you want. Like, he didn't realize that was an option on the table for these guys.
No, not at all.
I thought Archer did a great job of catching on to the vibes of the Ferengi, though. Like,
really good.
I feel like he is quicker than most Starfleet captains would be in a first contact with the Ferengi environment of, like, getting to the negotiating table, like, having like hard limits, being like, okay, no deal when he doesn't like the terms that they start setting out.
Not accepting the deal really surprised me. I was like, what is the plan now, Archer? I thought, because it seems as though the presentation of this would mean that his angle was ultimately to get himself free to work with them on the thing and then get the jump.
Right.
But absent the ability to get the jump, to remain chained to grab handle or whatever, you have no options.
They leave him with no options initially, and they're like, fuck you, we're going to go find the vault ourselves. And they like make Krem, the Jeffrey Combs character, stay behind and schlep stuff on board their ship. And so Krem is like, fuck that, I'm going to make Archer do all this schlepping. They start moving stuff aboard the ship, and this is where Archer and Krem start to talk to each other, and Archer starts to develop a sense of what is going on here.
Yeah.
I thought a lot about that pristine TSA tub you talked about using one time at the Delta One entrance when he carried that load of fruit aboard the ship.
Can you imagine using a TSA tub and not feeling like you need to use a shower afterwards?
Yeah. Like, I never did the thing where you, like, bleach your groceries when you get home with them during the beginning of the COVID thing, but I probably would if they had been in a TSA tub.
Yeah, no kidding. This ends up being the demonstration of the play that Captain Archer is actually making, this wedge he's trying to drive between Krem and the rest of his Ferengi crew.
I've seen the way the others treat you.
This is the real op that he's on.
Yeah. I mean, the premise undergirding it is like labor is entitled to everything it creates. Like, you're doing all the like hard work here and you're getting less money than those guys? What the fuck?
Also, can I have a sandwich and some water? Because you're sort of working me hard here. So this gets Krem to fuck off for a while. And that allows him to have a secret conversation with Trip, who has been hiding around a corner.
I loved that Trip could not get the shackles off.
Me too.
Like, the Ferengi had like thought of a potential like non-sophisticated attacks on these shackles and hardened them to those.
I like how it's not so easy to get one over on the Ferengi here.
Yeah, and like, again, unarmed Trip, and at this point, the Ferengi have hit all the weapons lockers, I think, and cleared them all out, so there's not much you can do about the fact that he's unarmed.
Yeah.
But Archer tells him about this hypo spray that they used to revive Archer, so Trip is going to head down there and starts to wake other people up. And he scurries away when Krem comes back with the water.
It is high comedy that Krem has returned with a sandwich he's already eaten a bite out of. As if he's forgotten the reason for getting the water and the sandwich. He's acting as though those things were for him.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's good stuff.
Faith of the fart. And you will never take the greatest gin alive. Ben would rather die.
What?
Trip finds the hypo spray and wakes up T'Pol first, and then Hoshi, it seems like, is going to get the next one. And Trip explains to T'Pol that he was in the decontamination chamber when the alien takeover happened. And T'Pol suspects the canister that Trip brought back from his mission as being the reason that everyone got knocked out. And they're interrupted in this conversation when Archer is marched in by Krem. And T'Pol, kind of pretends to be asleep again at this point.
I was surprised to learn that this era of Ferengi and this era of Vulcan are not aware of each other.
Yeah.
That they're not. Krem is very taken with T'Pol and talks a lot about her in this episode. And I started wondering at this moment, and I was surprised that this is the first time it occurred to me, but if T'Pol didn't know about mind melds, did she also not know about nerve pinches? Was like a thought in my head for a lot of this episode.
Same. Yeah. I mean, what good is a Vulcan if they don't have either of those available to them?
I don't know. The back of their head seemed pretty great.
I mean, a bad sense of humor and a few other things, according to Archer. Like, Archer really talks some shit about T'Pol in a way that read to me as trying to make her seem not as valuable as they think she is.
Right. Like, the sex slavery will be too much of a pain in the ass to be worth it.
No one wants a nagging sex slave. And the food she cooks. Yuck.
We've managed to take the most misogynistic conceivable industry and make it a little bit more misogynistic.
Hope you don't want her to drive you anywhere. Jeez.
It's a wonder they can even get insurance.
Yeah, Archer really goes hard at the Borscht Belt comedy at T'Pol's expense. It's really ugly and humiliating for her.
Take my first officer, please.
So Archer and Krem leave, and T'Pol wakes back up, in quotes. And she and Trip continue to discuss the plan ahead. They can't wake anyone else up, though, because that hypo spray's empty. I love these little moments in the episode where, you think something's going to be easy and go in a straight line, like we're going to do this and this and this and this. The straight line is immediately cut off. Almost at every turn.
There's also just so much tension in the scene because you're like, fuck, Hoshi is going to wake up in the middle of this and it's going to be a huge problem.
Yeah, never does.
So Trip finally puts something on, covers up that bulge.
What a both relief to me and a disappointment to you. This moment. Did you think that was his uniform? Did he sneak back into his quarters?
No, because it's got the blue accents on the shoulders, so
Yeah.
it's rifled from someone else.
19 episodes in to Star Trek Enterprise, and I don't think it makes me a bad fan to say I don't know what color the stripe is on Trip Tucker's uniform.
Muck, Ullis, and Grish are in 6 Bay, and they think maybe they've found the vault in the MRI machine that we've seen used a couple of times there. And Muck is pretty annoyed with how this heist is going, because if they don't find the vault, it's basically a loss for them. The cost of doing this robbery is higher than the value of the crap that they're finding.
Mm-hmm.
And he's starting to worry that what Archer was telling them initially, that commerce is not something that humans are interested in, might in fact be true.
You know how when you're boiling something starchy, there's a line you're writing between the full boil over of the foam and the temperature you need to cook the food. And the boil over of something starchy sucks because that's the messiest form of stove mess you can get. It's the worst.
It's one of the reasons I really want an induction cooktop that's just like one
That you can
sheet
clean
of
with a
glass.
razor blade. Yeah.
Yeah.
This fight and so many other fights among the Ferengi are like that starchy boil over. They get the foam gets really close to the rim, and then we're turning down the temperature. Down goes the foam before it goes over the top.
So Trip is now in some Jeffries tube, and he clamps this big crazy device on a wall. It is a wordless scene that is unexplained, but is setting something up for later.
But you recognize this lock, right?
Do I?
Isn't this the same sort of lock that was put on Agent Daniel's door?
Oh, shoot.
It seemed familiar to me that way.
Yeah, good call. I didn't even think of that, but of course.
Yeah.
Is it the one from Agent Daniel's door? Did the Ferengis potentially steal a bunch of 29th century technology on this run?
Boy, what a scene that would have been if the attempt was made. Because if they saw a lock like this on a door like that, they'd never leave that thing alone. They'd be pounding away at it.
How did they miss that?
I don't know.
So T'Pol is like kind of spying on the Ferengi as they have a little McLaughlin group.
Issue 1.
In the place where you would do that on Enterprise. And they come up with the idea of searching the captain's quarters because that's where the vault is kept on a Ferengi ship. And T'Pol uses this as an opportunity to trigger some horrible noise that is really bothering the Ferengi's ears. Their natural enemy is unpleasant sound.
I love that they just start shooting at stations that they don't know what they do. Like these things could handle life support or weapons or whatever.
Somehow that works.
Yeah. Yeah, that does it.
That is successful. When they come back, they find like T'Pol is like snuck out and like fucked with some of their stuff. And so when they come back, the Clint Howard character is like very angry to discover that some of the things he's stealing are no longer where he set them down on the computer console. And this starts a big argument between him and Alice, the Ethan Phillips character.
Are you calling me a thief?
Everybody knows you'd steal the wax out of your own mother's ears.
Please, gentlemen, we're partners.
Partners don't rob from each other.
T'Pol put some of these things in Ethan Phillips' bag. It's like a fucking great psyop. Like now these guys are going to be looking over their shoulders. It's a, no honor among thieves vibe from here on out.
It really feels like they won't have to defeat the Ferengi. The Ferengi will defeat themselves.
Totally. So meanwhile, Archer is down in engineering, and he's helping Krem, the Jeffrey Combs character, steal an antimatter injector, which we saw somebody get shocked by earlier.
Yeah.
I guess even Mark I warp engine parts from unknown species are valuable on the black market. So they're working on stealing this, and Archer is trying to get under Combs' skin. He's like, hey, like, I made a 65-35 deal with your captain that he didn't take, but I'll split it with you 50-50 if you like kick the ass of the other 3 Ferengi and take the gold yourself.
It seems like a pretty tantalizing offer, and it really feels like he's going to say yes to it. I was surprised that he said no. He turns down the deal, and Archer's got to get back to work.
I feel like if he had been in the scene where they started all like discovering stolen stuff in each other's bags, he might have. But
yeah, good call. Yeah,
he's separated from the others who have now found Porthos the dog and can't figure out why Porthos doesn't just tell them where the dog is. Clearly, he's got the lopes for commerce.
Where does Porthos shit? Is a thought I had in this scene because, I mean, it's been hours that everyone's been knocked out, right? How often does a beagle need to go outside or whatever? Does he use a box?
Do you think it's like an airport where there's a weird room where there's like some AstroTurf in the corner?
They need to answer this question.
This is one of the great unanswered questions of Enterprise so far, and it's starting to really drive me crazy.
Porthos isn't talking.
Do you understand me?
He is holding up under interrogation, and the Clint Howard Ferengi goes so far as to pick him up, and in the cargo bay we see where he is put, into a cargo container that does not appear to have breathing holes in it.
Yeah, it would have been fun if he'd like used his phaser to like punch some holes in the lid of this thing before closing it.
Maybe nervous.
Yeah. So yeah, he closes Porthos into a pelican case, and then he sees Trip moving around on the other end of the cargo bay and licks some very inaccurate shots at Trip, and Trip runs out into the mess hall, pretends to be sleeping, and then does like a sneak earbite attack on which is like extremely strong tactic against Ferengi and Evander Holyfield.
Pretty great. I don't think Trip knew that the ears would be the most sensitive part. I think it's just the part that was closest to his teeth.
Yeah. So that works, but then Ullis, the captain, uses his Ferengi whip and gets Trip.
So great.
RSVP Trip.
Yeah. Yeah, whipped to death.
Really nice to see the whip again.
So fun. And, there is no whip up over the head and crack. There's just no room for that in a corridor. But there is a fair amount of whippiness to this whip. It looks really good.
I love that it's, super accurate, too, the way he wields it. Like, he shoots the gun out of Trip's hand.
It should have cut his hand clean off like that Jack Black scene in The Jackal when Bruce Willis shoots his hand off. Remember that?
Yeah. Hold out that pack of cigarettes.
Stand still!
So in the launch bay, Krem and Archer are met by Trip being led in by the rest of the Ferengi boarding party, and the group is starting to strain over the pressure of the humans waking up and the chances of that. The potential of this actually strikes the first bit of fear in this group. The idea of them waking up earlier than they thought kind of means that why don't they just leave early? Take the women and what they got? They already got a pretty good haul, right? Why not risk that?
They're really starting to lose their mud. So they wake up Trip, and he claims he's going to show them the vault. The vibes between Trip and Archer are very fun throughout the rest of this episode whenever they're doing something for the Ferengi's benefit conversationally.
Yeah.
You don't give a damn about this crew. All you care about is your precious gold. I'm warning you, Trip. You're a greedy son of a bitch.
They must have taken the same improv class at the academy or something, you know?
They're really on the same level.
Yeah.
It sure feels like the fight that Archer and Trip get into in this scene is going to be the diversion necessary to physically overpower the Ferengi, which, again, is 4-2 in this scene.
Right.
Yeah, the Ferengi are armed, but I kind of feel like...
But they seem feeble, you know?
If the jump is gotten on them, I think that's more of an even fight than they're thinking.
Yeah.
I was always expecting that, and it never happened.
Just all of the scenes when Krem has Archer unmanacled, I was like, Archer, you can fucking get this guy. He is standing super close for you. Just grab his rifle and beat him to death with it, you know?
That was the tension in every scene between Krem and Archer, to me. It was when is that moment going to happen?
Trip gets a deal. He's going to show them the location of the vault, but they agree to take none of the women off the ship because he's claimed that Hoshi is his wife. He's like, all right, I'll take you to the vault, and all of the Ferengi want to go because now none of them trust that the amount of gold discovered in the vault will be distributed fairly among the crew. And again, Krem kind of gets shit on and left behind with Archer to hump more gear into their ship. But now Archer claims a water polo injury that affects his back from time to time, is acting up, and he can't schlep gear anymore.
What kind of injury was that, Ben?
I believe that was a water polo injury, Adam.
And one last time, just to make sure that I heard you correctly.
Not sure if I'm pronouncing this correctly. I'm just reading it in my notes. Was it a water polo injury?
Oh, you know what time it is, Ben. You know, anytime we encounter a reference to Polo, we gotta do one thing. Stop the show and play the hit trivia game, Polo, or Boyo.
Come on. Come on. Yes.
I told you, best sport in the world. One part basketball, one part swimming, and one part wrestling.
I didn't know it was such a rough game.
It's a game where I Adam Pranica asked Benjamin R. Harrison, which of these three things is water polo, horse polo, or a chicken recipe? Water polo, I think, has a fair amount of recency knowledge. If you watched any of it during the Olympics like I did, I learned quite a bit.
I really got very little Olympics viewing in this year, and I'm kind of bummed about it.
What I have here to help me create this game is the glossary of terms for water polo, the glossary of terms for horse polo, and the America's Test Kitchen website, which is constantly asking me to upgrade my membership.
Yeah.
The thirstiest website there is the America's Test Kitchen family of websites.
We should honestly get Max Fun to see if they can white label the America's Test Kitchen website software from those people.
I know.
And reboot MaximumFun.org, because I bet subscriptions would go up by dozens if we had a website this thirsty.
Ben, once again, you must decide which of these three are water polo, horse polo, or a chicken recipe. Here's the first question.
Okay.
Tail shot, dead time foul,
okay,
or Merg Makani.
God, Merg Makani has got to be horse polo.
Okay.
What was the one about tail end?
Tail shot.
Tail shot's got to be in water polo when you hit someone in the butt.
Okay.
And dead time foul going, like FOWL.
See, this is what I tried to do with some of these terms, is make them confusing. Like foul, like you say, sounds like it would be chicken. No, dead time foul, a water polo term, means simultaneous fouls that occur by offensive and defensive players during dead time. Obviously.
Yeah.
Then we got the tail shot, Ben. This is when the ball is hit right behind a polo pony.
Oh.
Ouch.
I had the right, angle, just the wrong species.
And Ben, I'm surprised you didn't get this one. Merg Makani, Indian butter chicken.
I love Indian butter chicken. I ate it in India. It was delightful.
All right, second question. Double hole, gag bit, Sanbei G.
Okay. Double hole, I'm going to say a water polo term. I don't know if there's ever two balls in play, but maybe if they both go in the net at the same time. Gag bit is when you are having off the bone chicken and you get a little piece of cartilage or something.
That little dangler from a chicken leg, that's the gag bit for sure.
Just revolting.
Yeah.
I had some bad chicken last night. I don't like thinking about it.
Oh no.
Sanbei G. I'm just horse polo seems exotic to me, and that sounds like it's not the English language, so I'm gonna guess it's something horse polo related.
Couple of misses here too, Ben.
Damn it!
Sanbei G is 3-cup chicken.
Oh.
You know 3-cup chicken, right?
Mm-hmm.
Gag bit is from horse polo. The gag bit means the cheek piece and reins are attached to different rings on the bit, which means that when used correctly by polo players, it creates more leverage and control for the rider.
Seems cruel.
And then double hole is remaining. That's a water polo term.
Yeah, I got that right.
An offense using 2 hole sets, one in front of each post of the goal. This is also known as the double post.
Okay.
Ben, final question here. You really need to sweep.
Okay.
For your score. Cowman guy.
Okay.
Neck swing. Ordinary foul. See what I did there?
I think that a chicken is anything but an ordinary fowl. I think they're extraordinary creatures.
Yeah.
That really taste delicious. Most of the time. So neck swing is obviously the pollo preparation.
Yeah.
That's where you get the whole bird and it's got the parts inside. And one of those parts is some spine and some neck.
Yeah.
And you just get that whipping in the air so fast that the friction of the air cooks the meat and you can kind of eat it like an ear of corn.
Sometimes, in the section of grill utensils, you'll see I don't know why they sell this, but like a beer can chicken setup that's not a beer can. It's like an upside down hat
It's
or
like a cylinder of cement or something.
The neck swings are sold right next to it. That's like the chain you hang on the lid of your barbecue, and you can just kind of swing the chicken in the barbecue.
Yeah. What were my other two options?
Yeah, ordinary fowl and Kalmangai.
Okay, I'm gonna say ordinary fowl is it's gotta be a horse polo term, and Kalmangai has got to be a water polo term.
Ben, I don't know how you keep missing like this. Kalmangai is Thai-style chicken and rice.
Oh, jeez.
Neck swing and ordinary fowl. See, that was tricky. That's tricky from your host. Yeah. Ordinary fowl, water polo. It encompasses just a variety of offenses that we don't have time to get into here. Neck swing from horse polo. A neck swing is a ball that is hit right under the neck of a polo horse.
Okay. Wow. Huh.
So, not a successful game of polo, or pollo this time around, Ben.
Yeah. Many would wonder if I will ever truly succeed at this game.
I didn't know it was such a rough game.
Look, I think the subject is going to return to Star Trek Enterprise, so maybe study up.
I need to do a little cross-training for this. You know, I just watched Star Trek, and I know very little about the rest of the world. So, anyways, Krem ties Archer back up and gets to moving equipment around. T'Pol appears to him and really puts some sexy moves on him. Like, she really gets seductive with it. And this is all in service of getting close enough to neck pinch him.
The dialogue flourishes here are so fun. The way she explains how her Barty is different from the others.
Yeah.
God, she begs to be taken with him. These humans fucking suck. They're terrible. And you've heard the way they talk about her.
Yeah. But neck pinch confirmed. That was really nice.
Yeah.
I like that this episode silently asked and answered the question.
In a way, like, a Ferengi is the worst person to have an interaction with a Vulcan because of their desire to have their ears touched and the proximity to the neck that presents.
Right. I did like that she went for like a couple of runs at the Umox before knocking him out.
Yeah, she didn't have to do that, right?
that was fun for her, it seemed like.
Yeah.
T'Pol, what the fuck are you doing getting one phaser?
Such a chaos choice. You got the second hand. But do we not want to think of every great moment in a John Woo film? Get the second phaser. Go dual wielding phasers.
Put one in your cleavage and give that one to Archer after you spring him from being shackled to an accessibility handle.
So disappointed in T'Pol here, for sure.
Yeah.
Also disappointed is this group of Ferengi who were being led around the ship on this wild goose chase through the tunnels and through the access tunnels and through the even smaller tunnels and the corridors and around and around and around. It's great.
We're going in circles.
This way.
Just every corridor set that they had got thrown into this sequence in such a fun way.
It's a fun comment on the state of the set for Star Trek Enterprise.
Absolutely. He leads them to where he put that magnetic vault lock looking thing earlier, and they are all so like hyper Ferengi eager to go into the vault and see all of the vast riches that they will be taking custody of, that they all run into the room, and that gives T'Pol an opportunity to jump out and start tagging them with the phaser, RSVP the Ferengi.
Don't you wish the whip was taken and used on them? I wanted to see a human try to use the whip and
blow it.
Yeah. Blow it real bad.
Ow, I got my foot! And then they're like limping because their foot is like asleep for the rest of the episode.
I would have loved that. Just no time.
This is the kind of episode that type of bit would work on.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
She kind of busts Archer's chops when she goes and frees him for all of the shit he talked about her. Much like some of the discussion of we're going to take all of the repairs back from ships that Enterprise has helped out, we get a little sequence of the Ferengi putting all of the things they stole back in their places.
Yeah.
And Krem, the Jeffrey Combs Ferengi, gets left in charge of his ship when the Ferengi scram. He's not going to be the shit-on nephew anymore. Look at him. He is the captain now.
They're making him all kinds of offers to get out of their shackles. No, he's not trying to hear that at all. Pretty great. He's loving it.
I mean, yeah, like you'd think that a guy who gets shit on by everyone else for not having the lobes for business would entertain some of these offers. Like, they're talking about a pretty lucrative deal here, getting paid out for just turning a key in a lock, you know?
No.
But no, he doesn't. He accepts no offer, and off he flies. And that's the episode, Adam. Did you like this episode of Star Trek Enterprise?
I loved it. I had such a great time with it. I think it would be so easy to like do a Rascals with this. Like the thing about the Rascals episode was that you had a very advanced crew of Starfleet officers handicapped by their transformation into children in order to take their ship back. This crew is handicapped by their lack of intelligence about Ferengi.
Right.
You know? And they get on their level pretty fast, don't they? Like, especially Archer. I love how he figures them out in just a couple minutes. He gets it. He understands how to deal with them. And it made me want more Ferengi episodes on Enterprise. I have really missed them, and I wonder if it's just a quality of, like, I miss future-based Star Trek references.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be stuck in the past doing all the past shit. Like, it may be fan servicey or whatever to give me that, but I kind of, like, once a season, I want to be served.
Yeah, I was wondering about it because the Ferengi were such a mysterious force in the galaxy at the beginning of TNG. They're like, we've heard rumors.
Remember when they had to turn their ship around?
Yeah.
Like, that was the big reveal?
Yeah, and they were like, they're like Yankee Clippers captains or whatever. They're definitely not a horrific anti-Semitic stereotype.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Right.
But like, I kind of hope that Enterprise is not that precious about canon in that way, because I did feel like this was just a hoot, and if they could ring this bell once a season, I'd be here for it in the biggest way.
Yeah, pretty fun.
Really fun episode. Dumb, but fun. So
yeah,
that's how I feel about that. You know what I also have really positive feelings about, Adam, is the Priority One inbox. It's always a ton of fun to go check what's in there.
Oh yeah, nothing dumb in there.
Priority One message from Starfleet coming in on secured channel.
Need a supplemental income. Supplemental income? Supplemental. Supplemental. Yeah, it's extra.
The interest alone could be enough to buy this ship.
Ben, we got a promotional Priority One message up top. Here's how that goes. Unlike Lieutenant Reed, I'll tell you exactly what my favorite treat is. Dorinda's Chocolates. This family-owned small business was founded in 2009 and makes chocolate confections so delicious they would make Troy cry. Located in Reno, Nevada. Below are 2 $100 gift certificate codes for B&A redeemable on the Dorinda's website.
Whoa!
I hope to hear if you think they are gach or patach.
Delicious.
I recommend a 12-piece box. Enjoy. How about that? DorindasChocolates.com is where we're directed to go. And here, as Reed has said, a couple of codes to cash in there, Ben. How about that hit segment, Taking Off?
Dude, I'm psyched.
Where we're tasting some food.
I can't wait. This is a very generous gift certificate also. That's a kingly sum of chocolate.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know about you. I'm still working through the ice cream from Graders in my household. I just finished one of the 6 pints.
Oh, you only got 6. I got 12 pints, my friend.
Oh my God.
That's how much the gift certificate was for. You got to get 6 more pints, dude.
I guess so. Wow.
You got overhead.
I'm glad I didn't get all 12. I don't have the freezer space for that.
Yeah, it was a controversial choice.
Guess what flavor was the first to be finished in my house?
Was it the black raspberry?
Birthday cake.
Yeah, that birthday cake was a banger.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the Dorinda's Chocolates site. I see chocolate dip mango. That looks amazing. Chocolate dip pretzels.
Oh, I love chocolate dip pretzels.
Caramel macadamia nut chocolates. Ooh. Almond butter toffee. Mama pajama.
Cannot wait. Hey, thanks a ton, Reed. And thanks for doing a commercial priority one message.
I love it. Great gift if you have a friend of DeSoto that loves chocolate. I have another P1 here of a personal nature. It's from Trekstar84. Yes, that was my AOL Instant Messenger name from childhood. I was not cool. And it's to Ben and Adam. And it goes like this. Hey, Ben and Adam. I've been a long-time listener since like 2018 or something. I had to make sure I got in a P1 before you finished all the Treks. Been a fan of Trek since I was a kid and had few friends, probably related. I'm so glad you guys exist to do this awesome pod. Thanks. Also, Chris Brenner drop, Road drop, Harry drop,
Something about it reminds
Ron
me of
Cannon
being
drop!
4 drops here. I think we gotta cap the drops in the P1 Ben.
Whoa! We're instituting rules about the drops of the P1s now?
How about no?
Where does it end?
I don't know. I'd say let them go sick.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, as many as you want.
I like that people get P1s. Maybe on a commercial P1 you can get as many as you want. On a personal one, cap it at 4.
I like that deal. All right. Let's see how that plays. Ben, our final priority one message is from Colton Bingham, and it is to Colton and Darcy Bingham.
Oh, wow.
Their message goes like this. I'm giving myself a treat for getting my wife into Star Trek.
Wow.
I love that you are now on Enterprise. We are in DS9 and listen to the pod every night. Adam, we need a longer Jim Jaw song. Please. Since I have some extra characters, Ben, as Kevin, could you tell her how much I love her? Her name is Darcy, by the way. And her name and the music will scare her back awake. Hilarious.
Darcy, wake up. Colton has something important to say. Via me, Kevin Uxbridge.
Darcy, you're not waking up, so I'm going to turn up the volume on the music.
No, I didn't just turn it up to 3 or 4. I turned it all the way up to 10.
Wow. Well, thank you, Colton, and thank you, Darcy, for becoming a new Trek person and a new friend of DeSoto. Thanks to everyone who got a P1 today. We really appreciate it. If you'd like one, go to MaximumFun.org/Jumbotron and book yours today.
Hey, Ben.
What's that, Adam?
Did you find yourself a drunk Shimoda this episode?
Incredible.
Drunk Shimoda! I don't see a way I can talk myself into giving it to anyone but Trip for the just complete lackadaisical energy he brought to finding all of his shipmates knocked out. And the choices he made early on just seemed insane to me. So I'm going to give it to him. We salute a well-hung king.
Do you think all of his weird choices are a reaction to not wanting to John McClane him? Because he is anti-John McClane at every moment in this episode.
Yeah, I mean, but why not John McClane him? Like, Star Trek is a place, just make this...
He's John McClane with an enormous bulge.
Make this Die Hard on a starship. Like, we liked that episode of TGG. There's no reason you can't do that here.
I feel the same way, yeah.
It's enough to make me want to make fists with my toes and shake those fists at the television screen.
Yeah, better than a cold shower and a cup of coffee. Ben, maybe you can tell me who this was, but like there's so much clownish behavior by the Ferengi on the ship when it comes to figuring out what things are, what the foods are, how they might taste, what these things that they're stealing might even do. I love that they're stealing things. They don't even know what these things do. They're just taking it.
Taking a chair from the bridge.
There's one moment on Sickbay that Trip witnesses, and the angle is such that I can't really tell which Ferengi is doing it, but he's stepping on a step garbage can.
He's like, whoa, the lid of this opens.
I remember the first time I encountered a step garbage can, and I felt the way that Ferengi did. Amazing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We have one of those in my kitchen, and my 2-year-old kind of lives and dies by the existence of that thing.
Step garbage can Ferengi is my drunk Shimoda this episode.
Oh, really solid pick, Adam. I noticed that moment, and it was really great.
Faith of the fart.
Why don't you head to gach.biz/game and fire up the Game of Buttholes, The Will of the Riker, Quantum Leap, while I tell you about the next episode of Star Trek Enterprise. It's Season 1, Episode 20, Oasis. The crew is directed to a barren planet where a derelict ship may be salvageable for supplies, but the crew quickly learns that rumors about the shipwreck being haunted may be true.
Okay.
Couple of exciting guest stars on this upcoming episode, Adam. Annie Wershing.
Oh, wow. The late Annie Wershing.
Yeah, sadly passed away recently. Also, René Aubergenois. And Tom Bergeron?
Wow. Wow. What a guest star.
Just an amazing list of people in this episode. Looking forward to it. And I'm also looking forward to finding out how we will be watching this one, Adam.
Ben, our runabout is on Square 38. That's a regular old episode, even though this one felt pretty special for our hit segment, Polo.
It did.
Polo or Pollo. I'm going to roll a die and see if we land on something specialer.
You're required to learn as you play. Roll.
Okay.
Ooh. Just missed a temporal Cold War episode.
Fuck. God damn.
Chula!
Did I win?
Hardly.
We're on Square 89, a square I believe we've been on before. Right next to that square, it's a regular old episode.
I kid you not, it caught my breath to hear you say that. I have like goosebumps right now.
Yeah, temporal Cold War dodged once again. Regular episode on deck for next time. The Tom Bergeron square has been hit.
Wow.
There is no Tom Bergeron square, but that's what the next episode's got.
Amazing. Well, I'm so excited for the next episode. Hey, if you feel like this wasn't enough Star Trek crap for your week, how about listen to Gray's Trek, our other smash hit Star Trek podcast, right here on the Maximum Fun Network. I don't know when this episode's coming out, but we have been doing a little film festival over there, watching some of our favorite sci-fi and sci-fi adjacent movies, and some movies that aren't really sci-fi but have some fun Star Trek people involved in them. And I can't recommend the Gray's Trek Film Festival highly enough. And we'll be getting into Lower Decks right after that, so get on board.
Yeah, it's real fun. If you've missed me and Ben talking about movies, we're back. We're back in a film festival, and it's big fun. Check it out.
Got to thank Wendy Pretty, our intrepid producer and editor who keeps the plates spinning around here. Got to thank Adam Ragusia for our parody theme music based on Diane Warren's original composition. And Dark Materia, who made the Picard song that you hear under our voices right now. We got to thank Rob Adler and Bill Tilley for running the social media at Gray's Trek all over the place. Slide into those DMs if you want to send something in for a code 47, and you will get the wonderful Bill Tilley, who's back in the trading card business.
Sure
and
is.
Head to gach.biz/mail to sign up for our mailing list. And you'll get a monthly newsletter that Rob Adler has been putting together and doing a great job. I've been watching the subscriber numbers on our mailing list creep up in a noticeable way. I think people are really liking this mailing list.
How about that? So it's not just about the offer code to podshop.biz. People are liking the content that we're putting in there.
I think it's probably a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B.
That's great. I'm glad people are liking it. We really care about making it good.
Yeah, we sure do. Go check that out. Thanks to all of the supporters who go to MaximumFun.org/join and become sustaining monthly members of this program. Really couldn't exist without you. And if you really like this show, if you've been listening since way back in the day and want to see it go on, take some responsibility. Become one of the people that ensures that this thing has a future. MaximumFun.org/join.
Thank you very much.
With that, we will be back at you next week with another great episode of Star Trek Enterprise and an episode of the Greatest Generation Enterprise that is like, I guess, I don't know, narrating some videos of like dads getting hit in the balls at Little League games and falling face first into birthday cakes and shit.
God, I can't wait.
Bergeron was a host of AFV, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Great reference.
Make it so.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
supported directly by you.